with a plane in which a girl named Katia was going to Russia with her mom. During the journey, Katia had an eye injury, but when she opened her eyes, she found out that there was something wrong with the plane. When she looked around, she could not see her mom anywhere. Then it was announced in the plane that the plane was going to land in an emergency. Because of this, Katia was very nervous and she looked back to find her mom. Then she saw an old woman on the back seat. She was reciting a mantra. Suddenly, the old woman's eyes turned white. Seeing this, Katia was so scared that she fainted. Meanwhile, the plane's engine suddenly caught fire, which destroyed the plane and fell down. And in this accident, all the people lost their lives, except Katia, because she was saved. That's why everywhere in the news, only Katia was shown. After that, in the story, we are shown the time after 20 years, where Katia is married and now she has a daughter. But the news reporter continues to trouble her to interview Katia. Now Katia was with her daughter. Then a news reporter came here and started talking to Katia about the plane accident that happened 20 years ago, on which Katia replies that now I have forgotten that incident. After which Katia and her daughter went to the airport, because she was taking her daughter to her grandfather. Looking at the plane, it seemed that there were not many passengers in it. Here Katia's daughter tells her, "Uncle, I want to sit on the last seat," on which she refuses by saying that no son, that seat is not ours. Before boarding the plane, Katia and her daughter meet a reporter. Hearing about the bad weather, Katia looked very worried. So the reporter reassures her that you do not worry, nothing will happen, everything will be fine. Bad weather will also be fine. Now Katia notices that there is a noise in our last row. Actually, an old woman was getting sick there. She was trembling with anxiety. She was very scared to travel in the plane. Now Katia, because she was a psychiatrist, so she goes to the old woman and takes care of her. Also, she gives her medicine to get rid of tension, which she used to eat herself. Now in the next row of the plane, we see a man who was a very big businessman, who sees a boy sitting on the seat of his next row, who is an artist, and he was painting at this time. The plane moves forward to fly. Katia was also in the washroom when she heard her mother's voice. As soon as she opened the door, she comes to a house, which was actually the same house where Katia used to live with her mother. She roams around this whole house, and as soon as she opens the door to go out of the house, she comes back to the plane. Seeing which Katia was very surprised. As she moved forward, she saw that the emergency exit was blocked. In the meantime, an air hostess came here, who asks someone to sit on her seat, where the reporter tries to ask Katia that why are you so worried, but she does not answer any of her questions. Then Katia's daughter tells the reporter about her plane accident, and now in a while, the clouds begin to appear red. The strangest thing is that a lot of hands come on the windows of the plane. Katia was also sleeping, or she dreams again. In her dream, now we see little Katia, who was sitting and eating with her mother, and this time was after the plane crash. Katia asks her mother that the mark on my leg, this will end soon, right? Her mother replied, I don't know, son. It is also possible that never go. Always stay on your leg. Then Katia looks at the big glass in front of her, in which her mother's image was looking very ugly. That's why Katia asks her mother, did you die in the plane crash? Hearing this, her mother felt very bad. That's why she comes to Katia and says, that you stop asking me such stupid questions. Because the plane crash has been 3 months. And now when her mother was washing the dishes, then Katia keeps hearing a strange drowning voice. As soon as she looks at her mother, her head starts shaking strangely. Then badly her mother turns her neck and starts staring at Katia. With this terrible dream, Katia's eyes opened. When she was in the present, she was very scared. Now suddenly there is a small jolt in the plane. But this makes all the passengers very nervous. Now the old woman's husband suddenly got so sick that he becomes unconscious. That's why along with the air hostess, all the passengers also go to help him. Were Katia to give CPR to that man, which suddenly the man came to his senses. But his eyes were also white, and he started shaking violently. Suddenly he gets up and grabs Katia. He starts saying strange mantras in his ears. After doing this, he fell down again. But here Katia was very nervous, because she had seen white eyes again, which she had seen in the childhood of that old woman. She was thinking about this. That's when she sees a hand behind the reporter, and she went into deep thought. As soon as the old man dies, due to bad weather, now the plane was also out of control. That's why the air hostess tells everyone to sit on their seats. She tells them to wear oxygen masks. As she starts going to the passengers, a strong shock is felt, due to which the air hostess collides with the roof and falls down, and she fainted there. Then here Katia, due to lack of oxygen, gradually becomes unconscious, where she keeps seeing the same old woman again. Now in a while Katia came to her senses, where the plane was also in control. That's why Katia quickly gets up and goes to her daughter. The child was crying a lot. That's why Katia starts taking care of her. That's when a reporter came to Katia, asks what happened to you all of a sudden, on which Katia tells him about that old woman, says that when the plane accident happened to me in my childhood, when in the same plane a while ago, I saw an old woman whose eyes were white, who was reciting a mantra, and exactly the same mantra that old woman's husband said in my ear. That old woman is upset with me, because in that plane accident, everyone was killed except me. That's why now that old woman's soul wants to kill me. Hearing all this, the reporter says, look, you shouldn't be worried about anything like this. And yes, you do this. Stop taking your medicine too, because I think because of those pills, you are hallucinating. That is, you are seeing such thoughts, which have nothing to do with reality. Then Katia went to her daughter, who was drawing a plane. She had also made a seat for number 19, on which she was insisting to go and sit, on which she clearly refused. Now Katia was feeling here, that before the plane flew, because I had heard my mother's voice. So it means that they want to tell me about something. They want to warn. Now the businessman tells the artist that I have been traveling for the past week. Now I just want to go to my family's house. Saying this, he shows the artist his family's picture on his mobile. But that artist was so strange that he does not pay any attention to it. In fact, he is busy making his drawings. Then we saw that the artist is making a drawing of the businessman. Katia sees that my daughter, looking at the back seat, she is talking to someone. But now when Katia got up and saw, she does not see anyone sitting on the back seat. Now when asked, Katia's daughter tells that a girl is sitting on the back seat, who is telling me that your mother will leave you and go. Hearing this, Katia hugs her daughter and explains that my life, my daughter, I will not go anywhere. Then the air hostess comes and announces that because of the storm, the plane is being taken down to Nova. This was actually the same place where Katia was going with her mother 20 years ago. Now Katia was suspicious of the air hostess because she did not tell the pilot about the death of the old woman's husband. After a while we saw that under the businessman's seat, a cylinder is leaking. Now the businessman takes out his cigarette and starts shouting, but by then it was too late, because the businessman had lit the lighter. As soon as this happens, the gas catches fire, due to which the businessman does not burn completely. Katia sees a brown face in the fire, who was staring at her. He was shouting at her. Now the air hostess comes here and quickly puts out the fire, due to which the businessman's life is saved, but he burns completely. In the meantime, Katia sees a shadow, which was going to her son. Seeing this, she quickly started going to her daughter. In front of Katia, she finds herself sitting, with whom she went into thought. The time she was sitting in this plane, one day before, where Katia was with her daughter. Here we saw that the mark on Katia's leg is still there, which was made due to the injury in the plane accident, with whom she came out of her thoughts, where Katia was constantly looking at the same place. Then her daughter came running, asks Mom, why are you doing this? Why are you constantly looking at the same place? You were so engrossed in looking at that place that you didn't even see me. That where am I? Hearing this, Katia says, sorry my daughter, and hugs her. The reporter comes to Katia and tells that the businessman's condition has worsened even more. So come soon. She needs your help. Her eyes also fall on the artist, who was still busy in his work. In a hurry, he was speaking some words. He was making a drawing. Seeing his behavior, Katia gets more worried. But seeing Katia so worried, the reporter comes to her and takes care of her. Now the businessman somehow was trying to reach his phone. Seeing this, the artist gets up and takes the phone and starts showing it to the businessman, which had a picture of the businessman's family. Actually, the businessman was about to die, but in his last moments, he wanted to see his family. As soon as he saw his family, he got peace. He smiles, and with this, his life is lost. After a while, Katia comes to the artist. Katia, I behave like this with you. Forgive me for that. Then Katia notices that the old woman is not sitting in her seat. Then she remembers. Yes, the old woman had gone to the washroom a long time ago. She was bothering her a lot, that she has not returned from the washroom yet. So in tension, Katia starts beating the door of the washroom. Seeing this, the air hostess feels as if Katia's mental balance is not right. So she tells her to go back to the seat, but she does not agree. She still insists on opening the door. So the air hostess quickly opens the door, but inside Katia does not find the old woman. Now when Katia was standing next to the old woman's husband, she sees that suddenly, that man's eyes have opened, who is still white, and he suddenly attacks Katia. As Katia moves back a little in her defense, she falls on her back. So there are a lot of black hands there. They start trying to catch Katia, with which she got very scared. She starts screaming, but in the meantime she had noticed that she is on row 19. In fact, when the plane crash happened in childhood, even then Katia's seat was row 19. And now after a while when Katia regains consciousness, she gets up from that seat. She sees that the old woman's husband's body is still lying in front. She is the same as she was. And now when she moves forward, she sees someone's shadow again, with which she got very scared. She quickly came to her son. She says that we have to leave the plane right now. Seeing this, the reporter started trying to stop her, but suddenly her eyes start bleeding, with which she became unconscious. Then suddenly a water starts coming out of an air hostess's mouth. She started suffering badly. This air hostess's eyes were also white. She fell on the ground. There she dies. Katia found it strange here, so she quickly ran to the artist. She starts looking at her by snatching her drawing book. Here she realized that the artist, whose drawings she had made, all of them have died. According to which Katia did the next time. Now before Katia could ask the artist anything, her whole body burns. Suddenly she becomes ash and flies away. She was so scared that she quickly holds her daughter's hand. She starts going to the pilot's cabin. As soon as the air hostess and the reporter were trying to stop her from doing this, but she doesn't stop. Now suddenly an unknown force flies the air hostess and takes her with it. Seeing this, the reporter's head also starts bleeding, which was so much that he fell there. On the spot, she dies. Seeing the appearance, Katia got more nervous. And now she goes to the pilot's cabin. And now she breaks the door of the pilot's cabin. But even after doing this, she doesn't get the pilot's cabin, but she gets another cabin of the plane, where it was empty all day. And it was exactly the same cabin as it was of the childhood plane. Then again Katia goes ahead, opens the pilot's cabin, but again she gets the plane cabin of the streets. By doing this again and again, she was coming in the cabin of the passengers, which made Katia realize that I am stuck in a world. So this thing is not ending. But now Katia suddenly sees that my daughter is sitting on row number 19, who was calling her mom to her side. Now Katia sees a shadow very close to her daughter. So to save her daughter, she quickly runs that way, where she sees that this shadow is not of anyone else, but of the same old woman, meaning the one she saw in her childhood, before the plane crashed. The old woman tells Katia here that when the plane was about to crash, then I put you to sleep, because then I didn't want you or your mother to die. But in that plane crash, your mother died. So now I want you to go to the past and fix the things of the plane crash. Saying this, the old woman frees Katia from her magic, meaning now Katia's destiny was in her hands. Anyway, now we saw that Katia comes back to her past. When the plane was about to crash, here all the passengers were sitting, who were traveling with Katia in the present time. The old woman and her husband were sitting on the backseat of Katia. Then the old woman's husband had a heart attack. So Katia's mom goes to help him, meaning in the present time, just like Katia helped people. In the same past, Katia's mom was also helping them. In the present time, Katia's daughter was telling her to sit on row number 19, so that Katia and her mom could save their lives in the past, where only Katia was saved, but her mom was killed. After which Katia goes back to her past, when she was a child. Here we see the time when the plane was about to crash, which we saw in the beginning. Anyway, here Katia's mom falls unconscious. Then somehow Katia pulls her mom and puts her on row number 19, after which the plane crashed, and all the passengers were killed, except 2, and that was Katia and her mom. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on future videos. Thank you for watching.